Picture this, it's late at night, your desk is piled with half-finished tasks and you've been at it for hours. You're running on very low energy and yet there's still more to do. You've got emails, invoices, social media posts and customer replies and a dozen other little things that all need you. At this point, you're wondering, do I just keep pushing on my own or should I finally bring someone to help? Well, today we're tackling one of the toughest questions in business. When is the right time to hire and when are you better off going solo? And trust me, I've been there. I'll tell you how I figured out the hard way what works and what doesn't, and how you can make the right choice without burning out or breaking the bank. When I first started my business, I went in with the mentality that I could do it all. I had the drive, ambition, and then there was a real thrill to building something from scratch. But here's what no one tells you. Being a one-person team is hard. Each day felt like a sprint that just wouldn't end. I was the marketer, customer service, bookkeeper, project manager, all rolled into one. And no matter how fast I worked, the to-do list just kept on growing. I thought maybe the solution was to hire some help because people online seem to make it look easy and they'd bring on VAs, contractors, freelancers, and suddenly everything seemed to click. And they'd say, delegation is the key to freedom. So I decided to try it. It just didn't work out the way that I expected. So I hired a few freelancers and virtual assistants to take what I thought were small tasks, things like organizing files and managing my schedule and handling basic admin. I thought that this would free up my time to work on big picture growth. But here's the twist. Hiring this help didn't free me at all. In fact, it added a whole new layer of stress. Like most of the people I hired were overseas, and that brought in a time difference. For example, it'd be 9 a.m. here, it'll be 4 a.m. there, or it might be 2 a.m. here and it's whatever. So I'd wake up to find that tasks were only half finished, and that's because I couldn't communicate with them because I'd be sleeping and they'd be awake. And this meant deadlines were missed, emails were unanswered, and sometimes people just vanished without any notice or explanation, just gone. And don't get me started on the training. I had to walk each new hire through my processes. I spent hours giving feedback, and usually I'd redo their work because it didn't meet my standards. I felt like I was constantly putting out fires and managing people rather than actually growing my business. So this supposed freedom of hiring started to feel like a burden, and I kept wondering, did I make a mistake? Should I just be doing all of this myself? So after months of juggling unreliable hires and burning through time and money, I hit a point where I knew I had to rethink my approach. So I took a step back and I started analyzing what work actually needed my hands-on attention and what could be reliably outsourced. And that's the key point. I realized that not all tasks are created equal. In my opinion, they fall into 3 categories. The first being the simple but time-consuming tasks. These are the repetitive admin tasks that don't require creativity or deep knowledge. Things like data entry or sending follow-up emails. These tasks drain your time, but they don't need a high level of skill. So I started outsourcing these, but with one big change. I focused on hiring a reliable freelancer and I made sure to give them very clear instructions. I test them on small, simple tasks before handing them anything more. This way, I made sure that I could focus on high value work without feeling like I was micromanaging. And now the second type of task is a complex but quick task. These are the critical tasks that require skill, creativity, quick problem solving, things like business strategy, client pitches, or quality control. These were the tasks that really needed my expertise, and I decided to keep them close to me because at the end of the day, no one's going to care about your business as much as you do. And this category of task is where I poured most of my energy since it directly impacts my business growth. And last but not least are what I like to call the gray zone tasks, because these are neither urgent nor simple. They're just things that could go either way, like refining marketing copy or testing new product ideas. And for these, I'd start experimenting with short-term hires. For example, I'd bring someone in on a trial basis and see how they handled the work and decide from there if they were worth keeping. Don't get me wrong. wrong, this was definitely a slower approach, but it gave me peace of mind knowing I wasn't committing to people who weren't a good fit. So with this approach, everything started to change. Instead of hiring for the sake of growth, when I didn't find the right person, I leaned on automation tools instead. From project management apps to social media schedulers, I learned that software could do a lot of the heavy lifting that freelancers couldn't. And as I built up these systems, I gained back control of my time. But I also noticed something else. Going solo at the beginning had its hidden perks because when you handle every aspect of your business firsthand, you start to get a deep understanding of what works and what doesn't. And this gives you a level of insight that you wouldn't have if you outsourced everything from day one. And that's because you start to know your client's pain points, you know where the processes have gaps that need tweaking, and so on and so forth. So if you're weighing whether to keep pushing solo or to bring in help, here's what I'd say. Start by going solo, learn your business inside out as much as possible, and only outsource the tasks that are draining time without requiring much skill. Just make sure you set yourself up with reliable systems, get a strong understanding of your needs, and then when you're ready to scale, you can bring people in with a purpose. Remember, when you do hire, do it slowly. Test each person on a small project before you commit. Look for people who bring both skill and accountability, because without the accountability, it usually doesn't work out. And don't rush to build a big team just because other people are doing it. Build with intent, one person at a time. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any more questions, put them in the comments below.